Okay, looks like we are live. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Awesome. What's up, everybody? It's Dave Drakes for the Collective Experience. We are back for another thrilling TCE Live Supercross watch party. This one's going to be a doozy. I'm super stoked for it. We got one of my buddies, Evan Nystrom, coming, trainer to the stars, if you will. He's going to come and spread some wisdom and kind of give an in-depth look at the trainer side of the sport. As always, we're going to break it down and do some really cool things. And it's all brought to you by the great people at FXR Racing, EVS Power Sports, Flow Vision Goggles, Evan's Power Coolant, Overshare Advice and Planning, and a bunch more like Moto Tape and Surgeon Limited. Bunch of great guys behind us. Make sure you guys go and support those people that support us in our program. We're trying to change the sport. We're trying to bring you guys behind the scenes, get you hooked up with amazing opportunities like interning for various different outfits in the pits. That's right, pro teams, working for different brands around the sport, or finding your unique niche. We're there to support you every step of the way. TheCollectiveXP.com, at TheCollectiveEX on Instagram. Let us make it happen for you. This is going to be a good one. Detroit's always a super fun race. I enjoy Detroit. I'm glad I'm not there right now because I'll tell you what, I'm not looking forward to being cold. So staying warm in the house is always fun. That is one race though that can be a lot of fun. The dirt's usually pretty solid, and the track layout is usually pretty stellar. And it's always one that I enjoy doing. And look at that! Right as we say his name, Evan is there with us. What's up, Evan? How you doing, man?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, buddy. I'm doing good. I was just saying, I'm pretty stoked for Detroit. It's always a good race. It's usually pretty cold, which is why I'm not there right now. But the track layouts actually, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it looks like a pretty racy track. Like last week with all the ruts and stuff that they had,
Mhm.
that made that track pretty tough. But this one looks a little bit more competitive. So
A little
especially,
harder packed.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of 180s as well. So that will be interesting to watch.
Oh, for sure. And there's a pretty big double too, which I'm pretty stoked on seeing how that thing shakes out. Because last time we had one, it was complete mayhem. So I'm pretty stoked on this one. Guys, again, for those of you who don't know, Evan is a trainer to the stars, guy that I really enjoy being around at the races. And if you guys haven't been a part of the Moto Academy in any respect, which I mean, at this point you should by now. You're missing out if you aren't. You guys have seen this guy's mug all over the place in his master class on how to really warm yourself up and train specifically for moto. It comes in handy. I've used it a bunch warming up, and Evan's been giving me some pointers over the last couple of months, so it's been super helpful. Evan, for the very few people out there who don't know who you are, why don't you break down your background and how you kind of got into the sport?
Yeah, so I'm a strength and conditioning specialist. My background's in exercise science, kinesiology. So I got into racing when I was a little kid. So I've been racing since I was 4 years old, like many of us. And so I've always been around dirt bikes, but kind of veered away from it a little bit for a little while. Went to college, ran track and field, and came back to it and started meshing my two loves of basically training the body and the sport. And here we are now.
That's sick, man. What's been one of the most fun things that you've been able to do? I mean, you're training literal supercross pros. You're like living people's dream. But what's one of the like the coolest parts that you've like got a chance to experience over the past year or so?
Um, probably being at the actual races and working with my riders and stuff, those experiences, those are really good experiences. And when I'm at the races and they're doing like intros and national anthems and stuff, it really kind of puts it pretty deep. I'm like, oh, this is real. Like I'm doing this, I'm working with these guys and I'm here, I'm able to go in and out of the pits all day. I'm actually helping them perform better, and then I get to go watch them, and it's always fun to see how they do. And sometimes it's great and sometimes not so great, but I still get to be a part of it all and I get to have an influence in it.
Yeah, that's the part of the sport, man. I mean, that just goes with it, you know. We can't always have stellar results. We work for it, we plan for it, but that's it's tough, man. Any form of motorsport, things are never guaranteed, you know.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, just like what's happening on the TV right now, once that gate drops, you never know what's going to happen.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, that's what scares me most about racing. I love racing. I enjoy doing it, but man, like you're not in control of so much, which is why I mean the things that you can control, you should, like your fitness and your training regimen, strength and conditioning. I think that just I mean, I can't tell you how much 10x is your chances of actually having a positive outcome in the race. So hats off to what you're doing, and I'm stoked to kind of pick your brain a little bit throughout the night. We've had a really good season so far. Shout out to all the privateers that have been really shining and doing some really good riding. Who's been like the biggest surprise for you this year? We'll start with the East Coast 250, but who's really stood out to you?
I mean, the kid that just pulled the whole shot has been pretty impressive. I mean, if we're paying attention to, the race and everything right now, there's been a lot of hype behind the Deegan, and he's definitely showed up a lot. But honestly, from more of a privateer's perspective, actually Michael Hicks has been incredible.
Yes, 100%, dude. I'm so glad you mentioned his name because I was going to bring him up, dude. Another FXR guy. So I don't know. I mean, it's a coincidence. I don't know. Maybe if you wear FXR, you win. But Hicks has been looking so good, and he doesn't have a super ton of Supercross experience. He's got a lot of arena cross, and he's an absolute animal arena cross. But I mean, the way that he's been able to get pretty comfortable and really like have some solid results, phenomenal.
Yeah, he with his arena cross background, I believe he raced some Supercross last year, but I think he had a really hard time adjusting from the tighter arenas into the stadiums a little bit more and kind of opening up on the bike. And it seems like this year he's a lot more comfortable, and also like he has so much style on the bike. Like it's insane to watch him. Him and Derek Kelly, one of my riders, remind me of each other because the way that they ride and their body positions on the bike is just like really flowy, but kind of loose at the same time. Not quite like a Barsha loose, but they definitely, when they get comfortable, they ride their best, and you can tell they're comfortable because they start throwing the bike more.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. We can see that with AJ too. AJ's had a really, really good year. And like one of the things that I noticed with him is he's having fun on the motorcycle. He's animated. He's getting a little bit loose. Yeah. Again, it's not Barsha loose, like you said. We're not, we're not throwing, 1 foot of whips or anything, but he just looks like he's just not as stiff and rigid, and he's more relaxed and comfortable and just enjoying the ride. And for a private who's been at it for so long, like to see AJ doing that stuff, it's great. But I mean, Hicks is one guy that comes to mind. There's a host of others. I think Henry Miller was looking pretty good for a while there. So it's good to see. Good to see these guys loosening up and having some good results. Going to the race right now, we've got the 238 of Deegan out front. This is one kid who's really shocked and surprised me all season long. I did not think that a kid with so much hype behind them would have such a successful run. A podium, heat race win, a bunch of good results. He looks like a seasoned pro out there racing these guys, not being afraid to show a wheel here and there. And it's pretty freaking incredible, man. I love to see that tenacity, but more so I love to see the fact that they're not scared to like rub and bump like we're seeing right now. Holy crap, that's pretty insane. So it's cool to see a lot of that. But I mean, he's not making a lot of mistakes like a lot of rookies make either,
No, and I think that's a testament to the STAR program, and just like these amateur programs leading into the pros now, it's a lot different. So like, even though he is, quote unquote, a rookie, he's been riding Supercross tracks for quite some time now. So he's pretty well adapted, and he knows the bike and the setups and everything, opposed to maybe like, a privateer that's just going into Supercross right now. They never rode a Supercross track like this. Maybe, they've rode some low key ones, but never one of the magnitude of they're going to see in the stadium. So, these amateur programs that, especially like with Star, they're out riding those type of tracks even before they turn pro. So they're coming out pretty comfortable pretty quickly.
Oh, for sure. Most definitely. We got some carnage, man. We got J Mart, we got Deegan, we got Cody Shock, who's riding really, really well too. Shock had some really good breakout rides over the last couple of years. What do you make of the two teammates? Holy crap. I didn't realize that Smith crashed that hard. What do you make of those guys battling that hard? Like, would you, if you were a team manager over there, what would you be saying to those guys?
I mean, first off, it's a heat race, so like, let's not, knock each other out. Like now, now we're seeing Jordan Smith basically in last place now because he went down in the whoops as well. And it's just that panic mode happened and he made another mistake. And now Star's dealing with, their guy being, in the LCQ, and they're probably not too hyped on that. But with that being said, like, it's racing, and Deegan is hungry. He's a really hungry young rider right now. And I think that Jordan Smith has a lot to prove with where he's at in his career. And I think he might, put a little bit too much pressure on himself. And that the outcome when that happens is, mistakes are made, especially, in a heat race. So he's probably pretty frustrated at this point. He looks pretty upset.
No, dude, I would be too, especially if one of my teammates put me on the ground like that. I'd be pretty livid. I'm not going to lie to you, especially if it's some young kid,
Yeah, it's probably going to be interesting back at the semi. Going in there. I don't know if maybe some of the team manager or anyone is going to come over and be like, hey, we can't be doing that with each other, or, what it's going to be. But, here we're seeing a third crash from Jordan Smith. So he's leaving the track. He's not happy.
Yeah, that would drive me insane. If I was team manager, I'd be yelling at some people, man. I mean, you want to race, you want to rub against racing, obviously you want to race, but I mean, when you're putting your teammate on the ground like that, that's never a good deal. And it's really clear to see that that Smith is a little bit frustrated and riding a little over his head and going a little crazy. So I think that was a smart move for him to pull off. Veteran knowledge right there. But when it comes to a lot of the I guess mental side of the sport, we've kind of broke this down a little bit over the years with Rack Racing's Jay Kavanaugh, and a lot of the notions that we talk about in racing is like resetting, making sure that you're not overstimulating or over focusing on one thing, like a crash and rebounding and all of this other stuff. It's almost like, you got to snap out of it, reset, and back to a blank slate. Is there something that's similar in the fitness world that you guys do? Like, is there some sort of like resetting of the body between different strenuous activities like this?
I mean, the best way to reset the body is to basically bring it back into like a recovery mode. So like we can down regulate the nervous system a little bit by basically going from like that fight or flight response and a little bit more into like a rest and digest. And that's really done through just like breath practice and something like box breathing, where you'd go like 4 or 5 seconds in, 4 or 5 second hold, 4 or 5 seconds out, and then 4 or 5 second hold at the bottom. And that down regulation will just help the body kind of come out of that like really intense state so that you can start your recovery and everything. And that's what a lot of these guys are really doing when they're getting back to the rig, especially if they're pretty gassed. They're likely sitting down, obviously rehydrating and taking some real deep breaths to try and get their bodies to calm back down, because the sooner they can relax, the better they're going to be recovered for the main event, or if they're going to an LCQ or whatever it might look like.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is one thing I've never been too good at. I've been stressing and like nerves the whole day and race day, so that's something I can definitely use advice for. It'll definitely come in handy. We got FXR's own J Mart with that win, Deegan in second, and I believe that was Shock in third. I don't think he was too highly contested for that one. I got to double check results, but a pretty good one. And just like we said at the top of the show, the track looks like it's super racy, really good lines, good opportunities for passing, good flow. So this one makes me pretty smiley, man. There's been some tracks this season that have not been up to par in my eyes. They've been really lackluster and boring to watch, and I don't think this is going to be one of those.
Yeah, I heard that the whoops are going to be a pretty tough tonight. They actually, from qualifying 1 to qualifying 2, they knocked them down some. So I could see there's a couple of crashes in that heat race through the whoops. So I think the whoops are actually going to be a pretty big factor, because with that dirt packing so hard, they're not going to break down. So we're not going to see like that single line through the middle. So I think they're a little bit skatey. And so that's going to be interesting, especially when they've got to go, 16, 17 laps come a main event, who can really hold it together each time they go through them.
Oh, most definitely. I honestly, with the 250s too, I mean, it's whoops, they're not their strong suit, man. There's very few guys in the 250 class that can actually handle them pretty well. So whoop and your line choice through there is going to be paramount. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Loving the reception we're getting in there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, this is our TCE live watch party. We've got special guest Evan Nystrom right here. Like I said before, trainer and fitness coach to the stars. This guy is doing some incredible things with a lot of riders in the sport. And be sure to check him out. We're going to link him below. And so make sure that you guys go and check out all the things that Evan has to offer. I can guarantee you he can turn your performance around at 100%. And he's helped so many people, myself included. This show is brought to you by the great people at FXR Racing. Get yourself some FXR kits, guys. The description below has a bunch of promo codes. Feel free to utilize those for your racing friends and family. Get kitted out in some of the coolest gear out there. FXR Moto. I love it because I can actually wear it. It fits my fat ass nicely and it doesn't break the bank. It's durable, keeps me looking fresh, and I've got some of the coolest knits out there. Shout out to Flow Vision Goggles for keeping us prepped and ready every time we set a leg over our motorcycle. EVS, as well as Evans Power Sport Coolant, and the great people over at Overshare Advice and Planning. Mouthful right there. Make sure you guys go show our sponsors some love. These guys are awesome and we love the support they offer. And don't forget, guys, if you want to take your passion to the top of the sport, head to thecollectivexp.com. We can bring you guys behind the scenes working with top teams, pros, and industry insiders at a Supercross motocross event near you. You guys can go behind the scenes and live it up, get experience that's hands-on training to propel yourself to the next level of the sport. We've helped people become mechanics, gear supporters, gear reps, trainers of the past. I mean, so many different career choices that are available to you guys through thecollectivexp.com. Yeah. Check those out, and you guys might end up being like Evan one day. You know, I mean, maybe not as cool, but you'll be close. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Bobby, thank you for all of the support through the chat. Shout out to Jay, Billy Freeman, Jerry, what's up, dude? Shout out to let's see who else we got in here. We got quite a few in here. What's going on, everybody? Make sure you guys continue to keep subscribing, sharing the word about the collective experience, what we're all about. Hit that like button and make sure you continue to show all the great things that we're doing in this sport. Evan, like I said before, this season's been pretty awesome. I love the fact that we've had some parity in just about every class, 250 East and West, and then the 450, of course. Can you think of a year that's like stands out for you as like a time when racing was like maybe better than the previous or better than what we've seen? Because to me, I mean, I feel like this year it's almost as good as what we had when like Stu and Reed and those guys are racing, just a bunch of different winners any given weekend. Is there a time that really sticks out for you?
I don't think there's a time that really, it seems like almost every single year we're seeing just a more and more competitive field, especially with how the sport is, their careers are becoming longer and longer. So it's just creating more density of talent, especially in that 450 class. So we're not seeing the washout that we've seen, you know, like when RV retired and Ryan Dungey retired, like they were great champions, but they retired early in their careers. They still had years on them, but you know, we're looking at, you know, Tomac being 30 years old. And, you know, I would say like the average age of the top 10 is probably about 28 years old. And it's being lowered because Chase Sexton's 23. Like everyone else is actually on the plus 25 side. And I think that's a really big shift. And it's causing a lot of competition in a great way. So I really can't think back to when like, you know, the field has been this stacked. Like last year, I don't remember how many winners there was, but I think there's like 5 or 6 different winners last year, and now we're up to 4. And I think after tonight we'll see a 5th winner. I think we're going to see a different winner tonight.
I think so too, man. I don't know what it is, but just something about this track is just lending itself just to just open up possibilities for me. I can see so many people coming through and getting a sneaky win. You know what I mean? So that's something that I can definitely see. But I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, I've definitely noticed, and my dad was talking to me about this the other day, and he was like, man, remember when guys were retiring at like 25, 26? And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of when guys are hitting their stride now, you know, it's 25, 26. What do you attribute that to? Like, do you think it's something in the air? Is it something that they're doing on purpose? Like, why do you think that average age of, you know, competitive riders are raising?
I think it's that the sport is being taken more seriously from the athlete's point of view. So like these guys are being treated like top level athletes that they are. So they're taking care of their bodies. They're doing a lot of mental work. They're not, you know, just thrashing themselves week in, week out, and then hoping to continue on. They're spending time on themselves and their recovery so that their bodies are able to perform that full season.
Yeah.
And of course, the machines are getting better. The suspension nowadays is incredible. So that's allowing them to, ride the bikes better and reduce, big level crashes, even though they do occur. But we're seeing a lot less of that, like crazy big crashes and stuff, thankfully. But, I think it ultimately comes down to the training and the health of the athletes and, them getting the attention from the proper people that is really prolonging their careers past, what we've seen.
Definitely. I'd have to agree. I mean, I definitely see a difference in the sport when it comes to just how well the riders take care of themselves too. I mean, how many, chiropractors do you see in the pits now? I mean, everybody's got their guy, Doc G or some other people like, working their guys out. So it's pretty cool to see people just taking care of their bodies and taking the sport seriously. Like you mentioned, I think that's huge. One guy who definitely takes the sport seriously, Thrasher out front, in this heat race, dude's looking super solid. And I have to say, when he first got off of the KTMs and went to the Star Crew, I thought it was going to be a bad move for him. I didn't really see him doing anything like stellar. I think he'd be a top 5 guy, but man, it made me eat my words, man. He's been absolutely phenomenal since he stepped on this bike and made his pro debut last year. Really, really phenomenal, man, to see this guy just like become almost like a mini Tomac in confidence. Him, Smith, a few other guys. Like, I don't know what it is over at the blue bike trailer, man. But these guys are riding with such a confidence in them at such young ages, dude. It's pretty cool. I'm actually well surprised, and it's nice to see a bit of a change from just the young guns that are falling all the time.
Yeah, I think that, from the place of like Star Yamaha, I think they have a really good bike, and that helps anyone and everyone that can be on top of it. I think especially at the 250 level, that's probably the best bike on the track. And the team is making the proper moves. They bought the goat farm and they chained down there, but then they're also going up to like the Millsaps training facility quite often, and they're getting a lot of variety of riding and stuff, and it's allowing those guys to have a lot of good experience and also a lot of good different bike setups. So I think the personnel at the team is also pretty top notch. It's just, excellence breeds excellence. And so it's that whole team is just thriving off of each other. And it's really kind of been the leader of the sport until the Lawrence brothers came around, and now they're putting Hondas on top.
Yeah. Tell me about it, man. Speaking of Honda, man, Hunter and Jet, dude, what do you make of these kids? I got to go stay at the Lawrence household and pick up some speed, man, because whatever they're doing, whatever they're putting in the pasta at night, it's making these guys go really, really fast. I don't think we've ever had a brother duo go back to back like this, like coast for coast. We've seen brothers like this, like the Stewarts, both get a Supercross championship, but this was years spread apart. I don't think we've ever had it in the same season.
No, I believe this will be the first year that if they both can win their coast, it'll be the first year that brothers have ever done that. And I think the dog pound and working with their dad and everything. I only know what I know from AJ, being down there and everything, but they're hard workers, and they have great like mental game as well.
They do.
I think that's a big component of it. Even like, Hunter running in second place right now, he's not worried about, Thrasher being out ahead, because he knows that as long as he just focuses on himself, he'll probably catch him. And Jet's the exact same way. Well,
definitely. And that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't hone in on is they don't get hasty, what I think you're kind of alluding to, like they're okay with taking the smart move, they'll get aggressive, they want to win and stuff, but they're not super like panicky. They don't ride in the sense of like desperation. They're riding like, I'm in control. I got this. I can make moves happen when I need to, and I think that's ultimately why we keep seeing them freaking kick ass, because it's crazy, man. The level of talent in that household is insane.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, but they're fighters. It's like Hunter, I think, had a little bit more to prove than Jet, because Jet kind of came out from like, winning Energy Cup when he was an amateur, then coming in and contesting, that Anaheim race against Dylan Ferrandez.
Mhm.
until he crashed himself out. But, that started to really show like, oh, Jed is really, really fast. But, Hunter was dealing with a plethora of different injuries, which then he kind of fell behind the 8 ball for a little while.
Mhm.
And people are starting to question if Hunter was going to be as dominant as people thought he was going to be
Yeah.
until last season, in the West Coast, like he damn near won that championship against Christian Craig. If he wouldn't have crashed himself out at that Anaheim race with a huge set of whoops,
Mhm.
if it wasn't for that race, he likely, I believe the points add up that he would have actually won that championship.
Really?
Yeah, because he only lost to Christian Craig by, I believe, something of the sort of like 12 points in that championship last year. And
Mm.
I might be wrong on that. It was something, it wasn't that many, but he
Mhm.
crashed and ended up 20th place in that main event while Christian Craig won. So that's like at least a 20-point swing. So you kind of go back
Yeah.
to that one race and go, if he wouldn't have crashed himself out, because he beat Christian Craig pretty much straight up,
Yeah.
almost like I think 5 rounds
And it's
last
not easy to
year.
do. That's no easy feat, man.
No, no. So no, the two brothers are definitely dominant, and I think they're really good for the sport. I think their personalities are good for the sport, but also the way that they are kind of bringing new fans to it too, because the approach that they're having off the track, I think that's a really important thing.
I definitely agree. I could talk about Deegan doing the same thing. It's like his reach with more mainstream crowds
Mm-hmm.
are going to be really good for our sport long term. We're going to reap the benefits of that in the next 2-3 years when we just start seeing more and more people just fall in love with the sport that we've already fallen in love with. So that's going to be really, really cool. Looking at the race right now, Thrasher's under a little bit of pressure from Hunter. I think we got one more lap, so he might not make the big push to actually get around and get that lead from him. But I mean, the amount of time that Hunter can make up just speaks volumes to his racecraft. Vial in third place. I thought I'd see a lot more out of that kid. I love the way that he rides. Looks super cool on the bike, and he's got really good technique and talent. It's just certain things, I guess, not shaken up when it comes to the on race presence in the racecraft. He's been getting some solid, decent finishes in the heats, but I thought for sure we'd see more of a top 4, top 5 consistent approach. However, it is somewhat early in his stay over here in the U.S., so we could see him pull something out of the hat before we end the season and go outdoors. One thing that I wanted to bring up with you, Evan, we keep seeing a lot of the young guns. We talked about it, a bit tonight. Getting better and better. I know a lot of us are going to training facilities and stuff like that. Is the approach to training for younger riders a little bit different than when it comes to like an older, more tenured rider, someone in that 25 plus class?
Yeah, it really depends on, and I would do this with anyone, be it a top level athlete or even just a regular person getting into fitness and stuff. You always have to look at not only their like biological age, but their training age. So how many years have they been training in the gym? Because that's going to show their experience level, what you can actually do with them, how much time you have to spend teaching them certain things compared to maybe somebody that has been in the sport for 10 plus years. I don't really have to teach them a lot of like exercise form. I might have to clean some stuff up that maybe they didn't know they weren't doing properly, but for the most part they've done training, they've gone through these motions before, compared to like a younger athlete is just new to even just doing a squat or an overhead motion. Like they've never done that before, so it's just a little bit more like meeting them where they're at than anything else. And I've worked with 25-year-olds that need a lot of work in the gym, and I've worked with 16-year-olds that need a lot of work, and then flip that around and work with 16-year-olds that are really competent and know what they're doing. So it's just meeting that person where they're at and trying to fit the program into their ability and everything of what they need.
I like that approach, kind of an individualized approach based on the rider. It makes it feel more holistic and more personalized for them. I definitely dig that.
Yeah, that's 100% the idea. Is our bodies are not the same. Nothing about anyone is going to be the same as the next person. So it's always like there's certain principles that will stay in place, absolutely, but we're always going to be tweaking and changing to make sure that everyone's getting the best thing that they need. And I can't speak for some of the other trainers in the, sport and whatnot, but when I talk to some of these riders and stuff and what they've done in the past, sometimes I hear like, oh yeah, I'm getting the same program as the 85 kid at the compound. I'm like, well, that's not right. Like that 85 kid should have something different from you, and you should have something different from him.
Yeah.
So, I definitely pride myself on trying to make sure that I'm setting something up specifically for that person so that they can basically find every single percentage of their performance that they need. And then, the same for the next person.
I definitely like that. Yeah. I don't think I'd do well in an 85 rider program, man. I need to eat just a few more calories. I don't think it definitely worked for me. So, you're obviously somebody who eats, sleeps, and breathes this stuff, and you try to impart a lot of the principles that you've learned over the years on your clientele. What are some things that you try to implement in your own personal training? Because I mean, you're a super fit guy. I know you ride at a pretty high level. What are some like day-to-day things that you do that that you can share with the rest of us on here that can really, be like the building blocks or the start to, a better performance both on and off the bike?
Yeah, that's a very cool question. I'd love to share that. A big thing, of course, is like my daily movement outside of just my exercise routines and stuff. So like, what I do in the gym is specific to myself. So like, would it help someone else? Yeah, potentially, but it also might be detrimental and injure someone else at the same time. So, me just being like, oh, I do this, this, and this, that's what you should do, isn't necessarily the right way. But like, if I'm going throughout my day and all I do is go train for that 1 hour, hour and a half, and then I sit on my butt for the rest of the day, it's very, non-productive. So I really try and, move throughout the day. And I love going for walks and getting outside as much as I possibly can. But my nighttime routine is where I really feel makes a big difference. Like I really try and get myself in a good position before going to bed, because sleep is where, change happens for the body. So, a couple hours before bed, TVs are off, everything is down. We kind of dim out the lights a little bit and do some stretching, some mobility. And, and I say we, my wife and I, we do different, we do some different routines and everything, okay. But it's so important to be able to try and get yourself in a good state before going to bed, because that sleep is actually where performance happens.
Yeah.
So like, if I'm training and stuff, I'm breaking down my body and I want my body to recover, that's going to happen in sleep. So I think a really big thing that I do that a lot of people can benefit from is actually setting up a nighttime routine to kind of just facilitate better sleep.
Most definitely. I mean, I really didn't know the importance of sleep until like the last maybe 6 months or so. And then you and I talked a little bit, and I've kind of doubled down a little bit, and like now I'm on like complete darkness. So like draw on the shades, no lights from the phones, all that stuff, phones flipped over. And then I've actually started working on just the nose breathing a lot as well.
Nice.
Like being very, very mindful of nose breathing, even when just like, whether it's at nighttime or sitting throughout my day, just not doing the, big gaping, mouth breaths. It's just literally using your, breathing through the nose and continuing to have airflow that way. It's been really, really helpful, man. I've noticed quite a difference in just the way it makes me feel, energy levels and stuff like that,
Absolutely. Real quick on this,
plus hydrating.
The heat race right now, we got a bunch of privateers in the top 9 starting on this heat race. I think I'm a little bit ahead of you, but
I think you are too. Let me try to do the good old refresh. Let's see. It's always a good thing seeing privateers out front, man.
Yeah, I actually have 2 riders in this heat race, so I'm gonna keep my eyes up on that a little bit as we go through. Yeah.
Who are you working with for this one? Let's get the voice chatting about it.
Yeah. We got Chase Marquier and Freddie Noren out there. So
nice. Freddie's such a good dude.
Oh, Freddie's amazing. He's such a good guy. And right now, with it being on the East Coast swing, they're my only 2 dudes that are out there, since unfortunately that incident happened to Bubba last week, which we can touch on
I'll have you touch on it, man. Those videos were rough, man. I sent him a text and I was like, brother, I don't know how you're an Iron Man for even just putting up with this dude. So, and Bubba's such a great guy, man. He's such a hardworking, just like sound professional dude to work with. I mean, he's been a huge supporter of our program for years, and it's just such a good group of people, you know.
Yeah, it's a bummer to see it happen, and it's such a fluke. In talking to like him about how it happened and how the bar just went into that dirt, and the dirt just so happened to be so soft last week, and it was just like, I thought last year when Dean Wilson got the foot peg to the bum was a big fluke. This was even bigger of a fluke.
Yeah, this was crazy. Yeah, why don't you walk us through it? Because I bet you a few people in the chat haven't heard of this before.
Yeah, so Bubba Poly last week during qualifying and second qualifying, last week's track had 2 turns where it was a 90-degree on-off. And I don't know which one it was. It was a left-hander, though, standing up front, washed out and dug the handlebar down into the dirt and pinned his thumb underneath it. And he kind of fell over the top because of that momentum. And the glove stayed in the dirt and he went on. And so did part of his thumb stayed in the dirt inside of his glove. And so it didn't take the bone with it, but it took all that flesh basically from the knuckle upwards off, and then even pulled a tendon with it from the elbow. So there was a big chunk of tendon that was on the ground. And so we went to a hand specialist and they were able to put the top of the thumb back on. They don't know if it's going to take completely yet, but I do believe he went home today. So they're just going to keep an eye on it. And it's if it takes, it's going to be a really big recovery, like a 4 to 6 month recovery, and he'll be able to ride again. And if it doesn't take, they're going to have to amputate at that area right there. And the recovery will be like a month, and then he can still ride. He'll still have about 70% of his thumb, but you want to try and keep your fingers as much as possible. So
yeah, definitely. The picture of the tendon along with the thumb. Yeah, man, that was a rough one. That was, I'm like, what is it? Did the price tag on it? Like, what is that? Oh my gosh, that's a ligament, dude. Like, it was tough. But I mean, you know, it's such a bummer for such a, you know, a good dude in the sport. But I mean, it's Supercross, motocross, man. It's we ride a tough sport, man, and it's part of the things that happen. So wishing that group a speedy recovery. They've got a good buddy of mine, Joan Cross, filling in for them. Joan's a great rrider, multi-time Spanish champion for SX. I mean, he's just all around nice dude, and he's ridden for the team before. So a great fill-in spot for them. And shout out to Car now, and we got Scotty Winterstrom out there as well. A lot of green guys. we got with us, huh, Evan?
Yeah, the 450 class, the privateers love the Kawasaki's. I think Kawasaki has a really good program for them as far as like payouts and everything. So
they've always had some of the best contingency in the sport. I mean, I remember back when we were racing 85s and super minis, AJ was racing like 7 classes, walking away with a fistful of cash, dude, every freaking, you know. I mean, figuratively, obviously it was on a credit card, but I mean, just think about how much, you know, $300 per win for, you know, 12-year-old kid. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, it starts to add up, especially with racing all those classes.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's a little unfair for the rest of us who wanted to actually, you know, have a decent ride, but you know, that's stories that we buried deep down. Shout out to Morantz too, running 7th, man. These guys are just getting better and better, battling out with Dean Wilson. We got the red plate in here, Cooper Webb. What do you make of Webb getting that red plate? I didn't see that coming, Evan. That's kind of a shock to me. I thought it'd be a Tomac like just marathon the whole year.
Well, I mean, they released that Tomac had a bum neck last week, and he couldn't really turn his head the way that he needed to be able to balance in the ruts and everything. So I could see how that would be very problematic. And I know Cooper Webb actually wasn't thrilled with even getting that 3rd place, even though he had took the points lead, because he knew that he left, you know, points out on the track, because, you know, he still lost the Barsha and Roxon. So he was upset about the amount of points that he actually left on the table. And especially with knowing that, you know, Tomac was 8th, and I think Sexton was 10th. So he was pretty bummed on that one. But I think it was a matter of time until Cooper Webb at least got close, really, really close, because he's the only dude that's been in the top 5 every single race thus far this year. So
yeah,
that's just consistency, and that's every champion talks about that consistency.
that's one of the tough things about having a good championship campaign is having a good ride week in and week out. It's very, very difficult. It's even more difficult, looks like, for the 250 guys, but trying to stay on top of your game, Ev, I mean, as you know, it's hard. I mean, even when you're racing locally and trying to have a decent season, having a good ride every time you throw a leg over the bike is not a tall feat. And the guys that do it, they got some sort of angel on their shoulder, because it's almost impossible.
Right. Yeah. I mean, especially for the 450 riders, going all 17 rounds, and the 250 guys, get a little bit more leeway to it because especially the West right now, because the West actually, the schedule is kind of weird to finish this out, because they'll go Seattle next week. They'll have a weekend off, and then they'll race Arizona. They'll go to Phoenix. They'll have a weekend off. Then they'll go East Rutherford for the East-West Shootout. Have I think 2 weeks off, and then they'll go to Denver and then Utah. So like, it's just not back to back to back to back. So there's just more of those like breaks for their body, breaks for testing, breaks for everything. So like 250 guys definitely have it a little bit easier, but Chase Marquier, this is his first year going 450 for the full 17. And he's getting better and better as he goes, but it's hard going each and every week, and especially if you have a crash during the weekday, or if you crash on the weekend, you don't really have that much time to recuperate and recover. So it's a matter of just like trying to stay on top of things as much as you can. And there's definitely some wounded birds out there right now. Like, they are not 100%, but they're lining up because this is what they do.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it, man, but somehow they do. Looking at the chat, we've got Mom Jeans is asking, what do you guys think the Lawrences are doing so different to where they're always winning, but the rest of the 250 class isn't? What are your thoughts on that one?
I mean, they have a legend in their corner with Johnny O. Ricky Carmichael worked with him at one point, and I think he's a good mentor for them. I think that, Dazzy, their dad, really actually is a really good facilitator of their program, and he's very on top of looking at the smaller things, the minutia of their, riding, and they ride slightly different. If you pay attention, they have a couple of different things that they do that we haven't really seen. And it's just kind of like, when James Stewart came around and he started throwing that bike around a little bit more, laying it down and, scrubbing up speed, it kind of changes the sport a little bit. And, one of the big things with the Lawrences is, their upper body positioning is probably better than 95% of the riders out there. And it allows that bike to dance just a little bit more, but not get, so upset that they're crashing. And that adds up. Yeah. If they're going out on the weekdays and riding hard and they're not crashing, they're going out and racing on the weekends. It's just that like compounding effect over time. They're getting better. Meanwhile, a competitor might be having a get off ever so often.
Yeah. Staying healthy is a tough part of it, and anything you can do fundamentally to get yourself in a better, number one, riding position where you're actually having more leverage and control over the bike, but also a lot of the training that they do, it looks like it's around stamina as well, which is one thing that I suck at. So when I see these guys like really having solid technique for all 30 plus 2 or however long the races are, I mean, to me that's just like magic right there, man. I mean, that is such a cool thing to see. Let's see. We got quite a few people in the chat. Again, shout out to Revo, Mom Jeans, Bobby, Jer. What's going on? We got Surgeon Limited in here. We got Tony all the way from New Zealand checking in too. What's going on, Tony? I hope you're getting some riding on that KTM, man. It's been weird. Normally Tony checks in with us once a year, Evan, and comes in and hangs out with the boys under the rig, man. But it's been tough since COVID, so I'm hoping that we can get him over here to come say hey and hang out with the team again for a little while. So we got to keep bugging him to get over here and say hey to the crew. Because we tend to have a good time. It's a good time at the races, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll be going up to Seattle here next weekend, so get to
That
go
was my
to
next
another one.
question. That was my next
Yeah,
question for you. I was like, when are we going to see you at a race, man?
yeah. So Seattle next weekend.
Mhm,
Since I live in Washington, it's pretty easy to go up to that one.
mhm.
The original plan was to do Utah. Right now, I don't know if Utah is gonna be happening. It's still kind of up in the air, but and then I don't have any of my plans for like the motocross season yet. Motocross is pretty hard to travel the races and stuff just because it's not directly at the cities and everything. So it's a little bit more intense. But since I do live in Washougal, the national here at Washougal is very easy for me to get to.
Yeah. I was going to try to convince you to come to Nashville, man, because that's always a good time. So,
I want
if you and the
to.
wife want to pack up and come visit, man, we'll always, it could be a good time.
Yeah, no, Nashville was like when they released that they're gonna be doing a race in Nashville. That was like I put a check next to it. And I want to make it happen, but it's just a matter of the travels and everything to actually get there. And at this point, with the riders I'm working with and whatnot, I'd probably be kind of tough to make it worth my while to head out there.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one that we always tend to have fun at. Number one, you're in Nashville, so it's a lot of good food, good music after the races to go hang out and see everybody. But they usually do a pretty good track layout, and the dirt's usually pretty nice. So that's one that I'm definitely looking forward to. We got Action Jackson himself checking in as well on the chat, hoping that voice is healing up, man. We got to have you back on as a special guest. So everyone loves Jackson.
He's the guy.
Yeah, he's the man. Evan, you're I won't say relatively new, but one of the newer additions to AJ's crew. I feel like it's expanding every year, with what he calls his entourage, which I freaking hate that, but he loves himself. But what's it been like kind of working with the Moto Academy crew? I mean, every time I look up, I see some really good responses and good interaction on the things that you post, which tells me people love it. I personally, I love it. I love to repost it, love to actually live it and take a lot of the advice. Especially, I think you had a really informative look at the benefits of various different additives for water to rehydrate yourself. I mean, that alone is worth its weight in gold. I would have paid your money for that thing, man. So super helpful. But what's it been like working with the Moto Academy crew and interacting with all these people on such a high level?
It's fun. It's just fun because everyone's there trying to help and help people be better, and people want to learn. And so when you're just around that, it's that environment's really, it makes you want to help people more. So it's been really cool. Like when I first reached out to AJ, that I reached out to him like in, oh shoot, it was in 2021. It was like March of 2021 and didn't hear anything. And then I posted something on Instagram and he ended up seeing it, went to message me. I had already messaged him. So it was like just like a perfect, mesh that happened there. And, it's been cool to kind of be on the app and influence everyone inside of there. But I've also been able to go to like a couple of like of training camps and stuff that he's done up here in the Northwest with him and kind of help him coach a little bit. So it's been cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And his classes are actually a lot of fun. There's quite a few people that always ask me about, what's it like? Is it fun? Is it informative? And I always tell them, man, if you haven't gone, definitely go to one. They're super fun. AJ breaks it down in a way that's really understandable and easy to digest. So you're not just kind of, guessing your way around the track and you're not second guessing yourself and a bunch of other stuff. He kind of breaks it down in easy to digest steps, which is great for me because, I'm ADHD and my brain's going a mile a minute. So I definitely dig that part. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about that, feel free to shoot those questions in the chat. We highly recommend AJ's Moto Academy training. Super fun. You'll have a blast. And it's also available through the app where you can see myself and this great guy right here, Evan, posting up master classes about different aspects of the sport. Speaking of the sport, Evan, we got to probably talk about this 450 heat, right? We got
Yeah, yeah.
Roxon out front looking like a man possessed lately. We got Sexton behind him, Plessinger, Tomac, and we've got Clayson also in the eighth spot. So shout out to him. We got Greco out there as well. Starling, new addition to the collective family. John Short. So shout out to all the privateers that they're making it look good. But I mean, Roxon, after that win last weekend, is this going to be the momentum that he needs to start clicking off these wins like he did in the Honda? Or what are your thoughts around that, Evan? Because I mean, he looked pretty stoked last weekend.
Yeah, I think a lot had to do with getting the suspension set up. Like Roxon's a very like particular person about the bike, and he can feel the bike really well. So when it's not quite what he wants it to be, he's not comfortable. And I believe it's been the past 3 weeks he's been second fastest in qualifying to the dude that's right behind him right now. Yeah. So which is also his former teammate. So I think that Suzuki is very happy underneath him. And from what I've heard, the Suzuki has a really good low center of gravity. And the way that Roxon balances the bike, he probably has the best balance on the bike out of anyone on this track right now. And so it just is a good meshing once that Suzuki suspension got set up. And I think he's on like his third suspension setup at this point, but that's mostly because of the lack of testing prior to the season, because he was playing, you know, which bike he was going to ride
musical bikes.
Yeah, eating every color of, you know, the rainbow while he was doing it. But I don't know. I think if he can win this heat race, that'll be a big thing, because Sexton's breathing down his neck pretty hard right now. So I think that would be a good confident booster, you know, for the main event. He's definitely getting good starts.
That line by Sexton doing the table over, oh my gosh, that was a smooth line. Snuck up on Kenny on the inside and got that first place away from him. But man, that was really cool. I don't think we've seen anyone do that quite yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched practice earlier, and I don't know if I saw him do it or not, but that might have been a new one, just cranking it out, seeing if it's comfortable to do, so that you can probably bring it into the main event.
Yeah,
but we'll see if
that was good.
I'll see if Roxon or, you know, anyone behind him starts to pick up on it again and can do it. I mean, we all know that Sexton's stupid fast. He's been proving that every weekend. So it's just a matter of, you know, if he can stay up.
Yeah. No, that was definitely a cool line to see. Tomac's taking it too. And it looks like it is a bit faster because you're coming into that final corner just out, you know, off of a triple and carrying that speed all the way through. And it kind of speaks to the parity we talked about earlier with this year. I mean, we've got 4 different bike manufacturers in the top 4. I don't think we've seen that in quite a while, man. So, I mean, the fact that that's happening is pretty remarkable. And if you go even farther back, top 5, we got a Husky and Craig. So super, super cool to see that this season. I will say it is a little bit weird seeing Tomac without the red background. It's going to take me some time to get used to.
that one. I saw like a picture on Instagram. The first picture I saw, and he had the white background. I was like, oh, that doesn't really fit. That looks weird.
It looks a little off, but he's making it work, man. Shout out to Plessinger too. AP's had a kind of a renaissance season as of late, man. I mean, it took us some time to get used to the KTM coming off of the Yamahas and stuff, but this year, I don't know if it's just the bike setup that he found or something with his training, but he looks a lot more like AP coming off of the 250s that we saw like a handful of years ago. And he's liking the bike, man. He's getting loose. What we talked about earlier with the riders that are comfortable, they're usually always dangerous, right? Like staying loose on the motorcycle, and he doesn't look like he's letting these guys just ride around him. He's bringing the race to them, which is really really cool. Yeah, it's a nice change of pace from what we've seen over the past couple of seasons. So throw another rider into the ring, and then we're gonna have some good racing.
Yeah, I think last year KTM had a really hard time with the setup. They did a little bit too much on the aftermarket end as far as the parts. I heard that it made the bike worse. The more like bells and whistles they put on the bike, the worse it got. So I know that KTM went back to more of like an OEM setup, which that bike likes a lot more, which is great for people like you and I if we're going to go purchase a bike, because basically we have Plessinger and Cooper Webb riding a more OEM style bike that we can go purchase compared to say like a Yamaha 450 that is all decked out. Like we will never be able to get the parts that they have on that bike, right? So
Yeah,
kind of cool to see.
No, most definitely. I kind of wish I had one of those bikes in my garage right now, but my wallet would suggest otherwise.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know what direction I'm going to be going with when I get a new bike. I'll probably get a new bike here in a couple years or something. I'm chuckling about what's happening on this for this qualifying position here.
Yeah, I'm kind of glued to it right now as well. We got the chat blowing up too, kind of going back and forth between is AJ having a good year, or is AJ not having a good year? Jackson chiming in too, defending his boy, which is always a good sign. And Jackson with the Paramore references, man, he's coming in full blower. With the pressure on Chase, he's in for some misery business again. Honestly, if I had to pick Jackson, this is why I love you, buddy. I think he's in for some misery business, man. I think every time I tout this guy as someone that's gonna come up and shake it up for the weekend, he has some weird, just it used to be uncharacteristic, but more characteristic now, some weird fall that just throws him off, man, and just derails the rest of the momentum for the race after he picks himself up, and it kind of just takes all the air out of the sails. You know what I mean? So do I think it's going to be horrible? No, but I don't think he's going to get a win. I mean, he might be able to snag a podium, but I don't expect anything too crazy out of this guy. I'd probably say that this is a weekend where we're going to see a new winner, which is kind of what Evan echoed as well. So we'll see. It could be a good one. Shout out to Traveler chiming in. I appreciate the banter. Let's keep it going, man. I love the back and forth between AJ. I think Traveler says it good. AJ's a good dude. He's just afraid of getting hit. I think AJ would probably agree. There's a little bit of truth to that. He's let's say a young cat, but he's got some years on him, a few lives shaved off. But I think the big thing is, it is a 250 class, which is sort of like a feeder class, and I think those guys can get kind of rowdy and unruly a little bit. So I'd be super nervous too, going through a lot of these turns, 5 wide, and guys trying to knock me off the bike and stuff too. Some young guns. So can't say I got him there, but he's had a pretty solid season, man. And it's awesome to see the kid, shake off the last couple of seasons. And dude, he's making direct out of heat transfers, which phenomenal. But yeah, Jackson, myself and Evan, we talked about the beef between Deegan and Smith. We definitely agreed that the team managers are going to have a few words, a few things to say, and it's never a good idea to go after your teammate. But heck, it make for some good racing for us. It's great for us, man. We don't have to sign riders' checks, so.
Yeah.
we love to watch it, man.
Yeah, jumping back to the AJ thing and him being a little bit like nervous or afraid, it's like AJ knows damn well that the money that he's going to make on that track isn't going to equate to what he's making off the track, and he doesn't want that to hold him up, to be able to go do what he does best, which is being a coach. And so, he's just doing a cost benefit analysis, and he knows what's going to work out better for him. Yeah. So if somebody wants to run it in on him, he's going to say, go for it. Like, I'm going to go off and do this, this camp this week and make my money.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of that.
He's making business moves essentially when he's out there.
Oh yeah, dude, it's for sure money moves. Yeah, he definitely knows, and he plays it smart. I don't think he's ever been one to shy away from the facts, and he's super open and honest with all of his fans via his YouTube channel, which is pretty solid. So definitely recommend you guys check that out. But just make sure you come back here to watch all the good stuff. But no, I mean, it's definitely a strategic move, right? You want to ensure that you can do the thing that you make your money at. Obviously, his passion and love is here for Supercross to actually ride, but the way that he keeps his house, and work in order, and keeps food in his mouth, and keeps things going around, his bills paid. It's the classes, man. It's the YouTube, you know what I mean? So you gotta prioritize for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we're all doing it at the end of the day. We're just not out doing it in front of, however many viewers on TV.
Yeah. I tell you what, dude, if I did that, it'd be for some boring TV. You'd see me at my computer a lot.
Right. Hey, I am trying to get into that YouTube game, so I'm gonna start getting on there a bit more and doing
Nice.
some video content here pretty quick. So
Awesome. What are you gonna be
hopefully,
focused on?
I mean, it's gonna be based around all action sports, not just like motocross itself, but getting into, things like snowboarding, skateboarding, BMX, mountain biking, because I work with some professional mountain bikers as well. And so just kind of helping out the outliers, as I would say, and try and get as much, mobility warm up content out there, even just training content for people to be able to jump onto and utilize for free. Like, it's sometimes, just having something to follow or something to go off of makes a big difference. And so, I started doing some YouTube stuff last year. I should have stuck with it better because I would be so much further along if I would have. But I won't be saying that next year because I'm gonna stick with it. And I'm also just gonna do like, just some vlog style stuff because it's fun. Like when I go up to Seattle next week, I want to do like my first vlog, and why not? Like just a little bit behind the scenes.
Yeah. Show off what all the cool stuff that you do, man. It's always good to see that stuff,
Yeah, absolutely.
People can learn and see what Master Evan has to offer, dude. Yeah, definitely show that stuff.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, make sure you guys check out what Evan's got going on. And Evan, if people do want to get in touch with you or check out any of your content or what you've got going on in some of your programs, where can they find out more about you? Where can they reach out to you and that whole deal?
So I mean, everything, like all my socials are the same. They're all Outlier Athlete, which goes with my business, which is Outlier Athlete Development. So that's also the website is Outlier Athlete. So if anyone ever wants to get in touch with me, like I'm on all platforms and everything. So very easy to hop over, find me, message me. If you're wanting to get training, then, I have a couple different ways to go about that, but also, just talking to me, like anyone that messages me like on social media or anyway, I'm always going to respond. So, just hit me up, let me know what you want to do, and we'll find something.
Love that. Evan is a class act for sure, and we've had our talks too about the fitness game, and they've helped out big time. Not where I want to be yet, but we're getting there, Evan. So we're making baby steps.
Yeah, that's how it works. It doesn't happen overnight, little by little.
Gotcha. Going back to the chat, not track. Let's see, Jackson's still in here. He's saying, as a fan, I'd much rather watch Chase go WFO trying to get the win than have someone like Dungey again who wins championships from fourth place. And, as a Dungey fan, part of me is like, oof, why you're not getting my boy? But I do kind of agree. I mean, I really do respect the guys that are uber consistent, right? That's why they kept calling them the Diesel. Dude is there week in and week out. But nothing is better than watching somebody just literally just wide open or just on rails, like, lights out ahead of the pack. That is one of the cool things about, I think, I want to say our era, like when we were a little bit younger, but like the Carmichael, Stu, Reeds, Wyndhams, these guys, Villapotos, these guys were so fast and really like made your jaw drop watching them go around the track. So that's definitely something that I think all of us aspire to be when we go riding. We've got delusions of grandeur sometimes, thinking that we're as fast as those guys, but that's like the epitome of what we want to, be when we're on the bike. So I definitely agree with that notion. But I mean, if you're getting titles and championships, man, you really can't say much about it. You know what I mean? Whether it's getting fifths nonstop, that takes a lot of skill, a lot of prowess too. So I mean, I can't talk smack about it.
Yeah, from like a place of like a fan perspective, it's like, yeah, watching somebody, as every rider says, hit my marks is not super fun to watch. Like I would rather watch someone that is, a big cinder, and I think there's a lot of cinders in both classes right now. But watching riders like Barsha and Anderson that just have this style to them, and it's so much more entertaining from a fan's perspective, which we're as fans paying for this sport to exist, right?
Yeah.
the butts in the seat at the stadium and the ticket sales and motocross are what help pay for the sport. So if the sport becomes dull and boring and we don't, enjoy it as fans and we don't want to pay for it as fans, that's not a good thing. But it's not often we actually come across riders that aren't that fun to watch. Like even Dungey has his moments where he's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, especially this past season outdoors. This guy was
Yeah.
killing it. That was super cool. I love seeing that. But yeah, that was actually a pretty good talking point, Action Jackson. So definitely props to you. Evan, I feel like doing some cool giveaways, giving some people some swag. I want to throw out a trivia question. And let's see, the first person that gets it right, we'll send them a FXR care package, courtesy of the great folks at FXR Racing. And if you guys have not tried on FXR, what are you doing? It's some of the best gear out there. It's super breathable, super lightweight. It fits me, so you know it's going to fit you really, really well. The colorways are phenomenal. The customer service and support that we get from FXR is second to none. So I highly recommend you guys check those guys out. And the first trivia question is, and I hope you guys get this right because it should be very obvious. If you don't, you're going to break my heart. Who is the youngest rider in history to get a win in the smaller 250 class or 125 class, depending on how old you are? Who is the youngest rider to get a win in that class? And the first person that messages or chats the correct answer wins that care package. So guys, go. Start submitting your answers, and we'll see who gets the right answer. Evan, I hope you know this too, or else you're gonna break my heart as well. So
it's funny. There's like at first I have an answer in my head, and then I started second guessing it like real quick. I started to like jump around and be like, wait, because it's something of the sort that it's actually like really close. Like it's down to the like days.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The difference. So yes. I'm trying to think like if it was one or the other, but I think I'll stick with my answer in my head right now, and then I'll wait until we reveal it.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll see who we come up with. If somebody says Chad Reed, I'm gonna like come on, man. That's funny.
I don't think Chad Reed ever even actually raced a 125 in the States. He came over on to the 250F.
Yeah, yep. He definitely did. Yeah, I think his first race might have been a 450, and then he jumped down like to the 250 or something, if I remember correctly. Or it could be somebody else, and I was also a kid, so your memory back then it's all scrambled between ADD and gummy bears. You're not really thinking straight. But yeah, I'm curious to see who in the chat gets this one right. Let's see. Let's go over to the chat. Let's see. We got Jared saying Deegan. Bobby is saying Jet. Axon Jackson is saying James Stewart. Daniel saying Deegan. JW, Bubba, and GL. Bobby saying James if it's a championship. Okay, well, someone's got the right answer in there. And of course, the correct answer for that one is the one and only James Stewart to get that first Supercross win when he was, I believe it was 16 years, 21 days. Yep, 16 years, 3 weeks is the winning youngest winner right there. Bobby got the late edition too. But Bobby, I mean, you've cleaned me out like 3 times out of my swag, dude. I think you've got more FXR swag than I do right now. So you might be excluded, Bobby. I don't know. But Jackson, I don't know. Jack, you're like on the line, Jackson. So we'll see. We'll get you a care package next time I see you, man. But good. That was actually a pretty good one. We'll have one going next week. And if you guys are ever at these races, we do a on-the-spot trivia with the Moto Academy crew. We're out there throwing out some really cool trivia, and it makes us realize just how old we all are when a lot of these people are like, who the heck is Trey Kennard? So It kind of makes us feel like crap.
Ooh.
But it is a good time. So guys, make sure you stop by the Moto Academy rig, say hey to the crew. And when you're out at Seattle next weekend, stop by and say hey to Evan, pick his brain, get a picture with him, and make sure you guys follow along with all the great things that he's doing, because it's been super, super helpful. Jer's in the chat saying that every time you make a post, it's he's listening and he's learning a bunch. So that's always a good thing to hear. So shout out to Jer, and shout out to you, Evan, for continuing to keep helping the community grow, man. It's excellent.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's the plan. Is I just want to put information out there. I don't try and safeguard anything. There's a lot of people that, in the sport of motocross and across all sports, like, coaches are always so secretive about shit, and none of this is a secret. Like, all of the information I put out, anyone can go online and learn about it. All I'm doing is trying to facilitate the information and make it more digestible. So I'm not trying to act like I reinvented any wheel or anything like that. This is just the way that the body works and the way that performance works and everything. And I'm just trying to basically get that information in a medium that is just more digestible, rather than, textbooks and things like that.
That's what I kind of like about it, because like even the post you made about the different additives for like water, like between liquid IV and all these other stuff, it literally, the grading system that you had was easy. You didn't have to be a mathematician to break down and figure out the amount that you should use, why one was better than the other. You kind of put it out in layman's terms, which was, for us knuckleheaded dirt bike riders, excellent. We didn't have to really put too much guesswork into it. So yeah, stuff like that. I mean, the approach that you're taking is very unique. So it's not just word vomit just for word vomit's sake. It's actually really helpful and really useful things that you can retain. It's not just jargon, man. It's very, very helpful. I'll probably try to dig around and find that post and repost it and talk about all the cool benefits again. Because really, I mean, hydrating your body, that is one that so many people overlook, and they're just drinking a bunch of just dyes and sugar water and a bunch of garbage that's actually not doing much for your body. So that one, plus the sleep, probably two of the biggest things that I can take away from your teachings, Master Evan. So
yeah, those are good ones to take away. Those are solid ones and really good takeaways, because you don't need to be elite for that to matter. That's just overall good health, right?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like your wife is like the healthiest person in the world right now, because she just absorbs this from you nonstop.
What?
Like a triathlete that just just by osmosis, just absorbs all the teaching.
It's really it's pretty shared. Like, her information that she puts out, and she tells me and teaches me, and I tell her and I teach her. So it's very balanced, and it's not just me spilling the beans all the time. She definitely teaches me a lot, because I can focus on the stuff that I'm focusing on, which is a much more on the performance, and she's much more around the overall health and wellness. And so I'm able to take my time and my focus over here, and she takes her time and her focus over here. And then, at nighttime, a lot of times we'll just go down the rabbit hole teaching each other things. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, I love it. I'll come and just I'll sleep over for a few days and just absorb it again. And
yeah, that's exactly. I mean,
yeah, I'll just come move in and be like, "Hey guys, where's my room?"
Yeah, you'll learn a bunch just being in the presence. But I mean, that's good vibes, man. Like, just being around good people alone,
oh, for sure,
just brings that sort of energy.
Oh, most definitely. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about, the crew that we have, the whole Motor Academy crew. Everybody is so awesome. They're down to earth. They're chill. Everyone wants to have fun, see each other win, collaborate, do a lot of cool things to, not only help ourselves, but help the sport, help each other. It's definitely good vibes all the way around. So I feel very, very fortunate to be around the group that we have. And it's always a good time. So that's why I'm saying you got to get to more races, man, because we need the Evan good vibes around, man.
I know. I really want to, this year. Last year, all I did was Seattle, just with it being local. So this year, already have gone to both the Anaheim races and then heading up to Seattle. I'm already ahead from last year. So it's just a matter of convenience and making sure that it's worth my while to be at these races and stuff. And not putting myself too far out there and, too far underneath, budgets and everything.
Tell me about it, man. This year it's a tough one for budgets. 23 flight prices are outrageous.
Yeah, it like even like hotel stays or like Airbnbs and stuff.
Man,
Everything is just up, and so it's tough. I mean, like I said, like I'd love to go to Nashville, but Nashville is a hot spot whether Supercross is there or not. So
yeah.
even just flights in from the airport I would go from is going to be PDX, and like that's not cheap. And so then like Airbnbs, it's still a hot spot no matter what. So it's like Airbnbs are going to be expensive, and like frankly, I hate hotels like so much.
Tell me
So
about
like
them.
if I can be in an Airbnb, I'm going to be so stoked. I like just kind of having my own space. But if I have to be in a hotel, I'll be in a hotel, of course. But if I'm gonna pay the money, it's like hotels are super expensive, Airbnbs are expensive, and it's just like, all right, I gotta, maybe I need to like get a factory dude on the books or something to start paying for this.
Yeah, call up Chase, man. I'm telling you, if you can figure out how to get Chase to like a consistent, red plate holder, he will pay you big time. I can guarantee you, dude.
The thing is Chase, the coach he works with for his off bike stuff, he's a solid dude. Like I can't recall his name straight off the top of my head, but he has some really good principles, and he's he knows what he's doing. And so like for Chase, like nothing's really like wrong with his program. I don't see him wanting to turn a new leaf, but at the same time, like I don't know, there's rumors that he signed a contract with KTM, which means KTM has their contract with Alden, which might mean that Chase ends up with Alden, and who knows what's going to happen when that sort of stuff happens. And it's just kind of how the sport works and everything. So I think Chase might be off the books for a while. I think my hope right now is we can get Derek Kelly on a factory bike next year. He's been really, really good this year.
Yeah.
He's in talks potentially, so it's he knows some people and some people know him, and it doesn't go unnoticed when you beat factory guys on a non-factory bike.
Yes, 100%. And I mean, and a lot of people don't realize that it does make a difference. Obviously, in the sport, it's not all about the bike, right? But when you do have the proper bike and the proper resources behind you, the people, the support, that adds up, man. The right crowd, the right vibe, it can take you so far in the sport.
Right, and like that AEO KTM bike that he's on is absolutely incredible. Like you can sit there and just drool over that bike and the parts that I have on it. Like it's incredible, but it's still not the same as a PC bike or a Star bike or even the factory KTM bikes. Like it still has just that one less, step to it. It's just a little less snappy. The suspension is not quite as responsive. It's just like those small little things, and it's just because of budgets. Like those factory teams have huge budgets, so they can put the highest, A or the most expensive A kit on every single bike.
Yeah. That would be nice, man.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. So who knows? And the big thing for, all these guys is, just getting better and being consistent. That's the biggest thing. If you can be there every week and you're competitive, you're going to get noticed, and who knows who's going to, call you.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, man. If I had my pick though, I feel like those green PC bikes are a little cursed, man. If I got the call from Mitch Payton, I might let it ring for a little bit.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's scary, man.
It is, yeah. And it's funny. So when that all was going down early in the season, I talked to Derek. I'm like, "What would you do if they called?" And he didn't say they did, and he didn't say they didn't. But he's really happy with the KTM and everything that he's on right now. So he wasn't gonna, skip over. But I don't know. I don't know what it is about the bike or just what they're doing as far as so that team doesn't have a team trainer.
Yeah.
They do have a team tester who is a former racer and everything.
Very accomplished former racer.
Right. And Ivan Tedesco works for Pro Circuit. He doesn't work for Pro Circuit Kawasaki.
Yeah.
So he's helping develop the bike and stuff, but he's also helping develop other bikes because he works for Pro Circuit. So I don't know if like maybe that's just like there's like inconsistencies because the riders aren't working with one single person telling them one single way. Um, I don't know. I really don't. And like as of this moment right now, there's only two teams that actually have full-time trainers all the time,
Mm,
away from like a Club MX, which is a training facility, which is a
yeah.
little bit different. But
Mhm.
I mean, Star Yamaha and the Austrian brands basically are the only ones that are, have this singular, coach and trainer that is training everyone.
Do you think that's going to pick up more with the other teams as well? Like, do you think we'll see Honda have a team trainer? Do you think we'll see PC maybe change their format and have a full-time trainer? Like, do you think this is something that's going to be adopted down the road?
I mean, as a trainer, I hope so.
That would be pretty cool. And honestly, like it's such a unique role where like fitness is one thing, right? I mean, we see we're bombarded with a lot of these trainers on YouTube and buy my program, but what you do is so unique, and it's very few people in the world can offer what you offer for this sport, which is you are a rider at a high level. You know what it takes to be successful, but you also know how to apply proper training to even further your prowess on the motorcycle. I can't imagine that, like, what if this does start picking up, that people like yourself wouldn't just be snatched up and paid whatever you wanted them to pay you. So I mean that's the hope, right? But
That's 100%. Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'm working towards. Like, I
Mhm.
wouldn't say it's the goal. I don't really like I'm not gonna put my eggs in a basket that doesn't even exist.
Mhm.
But if the call came, yeah, it's something that my wife and we've discussed what that would potentially look like, what that would be if that were to present itself and
Mhm.
everything. But all I can do is keep doing the best that I'm doing right now for myself and the people I work with, and
Mhm.
let that speak for itself. And when the day comes, if a team wants to bring on someone and my name gets thrown into the hat, then fantastic, that'd be great. But I'm gonna keep doing me and keep working on my brand and everything, so I can control that and just let that take care of things as time goes on.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I mean, you're literally one of like three people like in the world that like I know can do this one thing that you guys do. So it can't be far off, man, to where you're gonna start getting a crap ton of phone calls, and your next problem will be, man, I don't have enough time in the day to to train all these people. So I'm hoping that for you, brother. I'm hoping it shakes out like that on top of a lot of other great things. But someone whose things are not shaping up for is Jordan Smith, man. He is stalling the bike. Looks like he's in almost damn near a last
Ooh,
place, if not
ooh.
last, and having a really hard time getting going. And we're only taking top four out of this LCQ. So this could be a disastrous night for him. And it may be a little bit of a guilty guilty presence in Deegan's mind for putting him on the ground if he does not make it in to the main through the LCQ. And even on the
I
star
mean,
bike, I don't know if you can make it that much time. That's 71 seconds down from first. I mean, that's a tall order to make up, Evan. What do you think?
I think he's in trouble. Unfortunately, that's too bad that that mistake just happened. But um, to be fair, Deegan did not take him out. He ran into Deegan, and he
Yeah,
just got
yeah. I mean,
the short end of that one.
yeah,
But
yeah, correct.
um, yeah, in this short of a race, like there's 3 minutes left in a lap. Like, yeah, that's he could charge as hard as he wants, and if he's not careful, he's gonna cause himself to crash trying to do it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's gonna be a hard one because he's gonna lose a lot of points, and I believe he's third place in points right now. So that's
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 tough.
gonna hurt, man. That's definitely gonna hurt. My goodness, that's not a good sign. Hey, shout out to Jeff Crutcher, the team manager for the RRCZ KTM team. Those guys are running 9th and 16th respectively. That's an arena cross outfit. So shout out to those guys, big supporters of the program, and I believe they have some interns working with them from our program this weekend. So shouts to those guys. Um, I mentioned this guy last weekend in our show when we had some other guests on, but Gage Linville, who's out front in this LCQ, had a stellar amateur career on the Yamaha. I mean, he wasn't a star kid, but he was put into the star kids almost every weekend. Had a bunch of titles on the winter mini Olympics, Minios, Loretta's, you name it. and he's had pretty much a quiet transition into the pros. This is one person who, honestly, if I had to think of like a career that I wanted, it would kind of be like this, like low pressure, sneak into the pro ranks, have a really good showing, at least an amateur's, at least enough to be able to grab a decent ride for the pros, or for Supercross. And yeah, he's making it work for him out front. He's got Kobush behind him, and Allison, who I keep thinking is Drew Adams.
Yeah, yeah.
Every time I see that, I'm like, man, when this kid go pro? I thought he just got on like big bikes. Throw me for a loop. Shout out to Luca Marcellisi in 20th also. But let's do our quick check. Smith is only up to 13th. He's got a lot of work. We only got 57 seconds left on the clock. Yeah, you're right, Evan. I don't think he can make this one up, man. He's gonna have to like blitz a whole section to
I mean, he's obviously moving quick. Like, he's only 11 seconds down or something of that sort, 10 seconds down from Chambers and fourth, but there's just not enough laps. Like, the LCQ is just so short. Like, there's the amount of time he needs isn't going to be enough, I don't think, to make up that amount of time. I think if he had maybe a couple extra laps on there, he would have a potential chance, but it's just too short of a race to have that sort of mistake that early on in the race too, because so many guys went past him.
Yeah, no, that was pretty crazy. It looked like he stalled it, but the bike just did not want to start for him, which is pretty uncharacteristic of a bike that we've seen anything post like 2013, you know?
So I would imagine he probably went into that turn in a pretty high gear. And so when he stalled it and then he tried to start it, it was just in too high of a gear to start. So, like, I mean, you know, obviously these, you know, electric starts are fantastic and everything, but if that bike is sitting up in third, fourth gear, it's a really hard start. So, and it's also cold. Like, it's cold in that stadium, I heard. So I don't know if maybe that would play a component in it or what, but he had to kind of take that breath and seem like he had to put that bike at least down into first gear to get it started.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it's definitely sketchy. I mean, he's making up time. He's passing these guys in the whoops super fast. And he's up to sixth right now. He's got to get to fourth in order to get that last transfer spot. But I don't know, man. If he's able to do it, this will be the ride of a lifetime, because he's gonna have to go.
Yeah, I mean, right now up in sixth, he's only 3 seconds out from Chambers, and there's a half a lap. He's actually gonna do it. I think he's gonna do it.
I'm nervous, man. This is kind of scary. Ooh. Oh, yep. Oh, that's a tough one. Knocked down right before you get there. Son of a gun. That is difficult.
That's an LCQ.
That's nightmare fuel right there, man. Going up to like get it in there and then getting ridden high, man. That's
He almost
tough.
did it, but Chambers, I mean, he wants the main event just as much as, you know, anyone else. So
yeah, no, for sure. I mean,
he raced them. He didn't say, "Oh, you're faster than me. You can have it."
that's going to be a quiet, lonely ride back to the pits, man. Ooh, that's tough. Well, shout out to all the guys that made it in through that one. That was a good one. That was actually really cool to see him come through the pack like that. But I mean, you can only do so much, you know?
For sure. Now, 450s coming up. We got my guy, Chase Marquier. He's been 5th place in the LCQ 4 times this year. So hopefully we're going to end that streak. Yeah, he's like, as far as like the, what is it? The Pulp MX for the privateer series.
Mm-hmm.
He's like killing it. He's got like a bunch of points on the next.
Oh, really?
As far as that, yeah, which is great because I know that Pulp does a really cool thing for them. So that's really great.
They do. Yeah,
but he's still sick of not being in the main event. He won that LCQ at Daytona and got his first 450 main event. So Freddie got in the heat race, and we got Chase still trying to get in. So think if he gets a good start, he should be good.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, these 450 LCQs are pretty stacked, man. I mean, there's been a lot of times where the guys that are in the LCQs that are like top 2, top 3, they're 250 title holders. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not an easy feat to go in there and get a transfer spot. So the guys that do it, I mean, hats off to them, because that's a next level of difficulty, man.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's been the biggest thing for Chase. Like, his speed has been there, but he's he's more green in those 450 LCQs, and those guys have been going at it. So like, this being he didn't even race Supercross last year. So he, coming into this, not taking a year off and then being in the 450 class, it's just like he's learning how to race those LCQs. So hopefully he can get this done, because I know he's going to be stoked if he can.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, who wouldn't? Again, shout out to you guys all in the chat. Thank you for watching the TCE live Supercross watch party. This is all, again, brought to you by the great people over at FXR Racing, Flow Vision Goggles, Overshare Advice and Planning, EVS, Evans Power Coolant. And we'll throw in the Moto Academy as well to give those guys they need some love, right? AJ and the crew, shout out to all those guys. Guys, don't forget, we normally go up until the LCQs and let you watch the mains by yourself, uninterrupted by us squawking. So we're going to go just for a little bit longer, be able to see this last LCQ, then we'll give you guys a night. Then thank you again to my guest, Evan, who's been crushing it with Outlier athlete training. This guy's number one when it comes to this stuff, I promise you. He really cares about what he's doing. So be sure to check out what Evan's got going on with Outlier, and make sure you guys follow along with him. We're gonna be doing this pretty much every weekend for the races that we are not at. So all the cold ones, we'll be doing it live right here. We had on Jordan Jarvis last weekend, as well as Mitchell Prescott, Alexander Ozzy Adams. I mean, we've got a bunch of pros that are going to be hopping on and chatting with us, a lot of industry insiders, so that you guys can ask your questions, get filled in on what it's like being on the inside of the sport, and really working these super cool industry positions like what Evan's got going on. So be sure to clue in, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this with your friends and family, help us to grow the community. And don't forget, if you want to attend the races like a top level industry insider, like what we have on as our guest, check out thecollectivexp.com. We can help you kickstart your journey into the sport. All of your career opportunities lay before you when you join us. Things like mechanic support, mechanic support in all assets, team management, the content, media creation, and so much more. Let us help you kickstart your career in one of the greatest sports in the world. TheCollectiveXP.com, at TheCollectiveEX on Instagram. So Evan, looks like we're getting ready to kick off for our LCQ in the 450s. You got a guy in here. Looks like we've got Joan Cross in here, Justin Starling, quite a few of some heavy hitters that support the program. Would you rather go into a 250 LCQ or a 450 LCQ?
Good question. I think a 450, because I would be less scared of
exact same. Yep, I would be doing the exact same. At least I know like it's going to be a lot of battling, but at least I know the guys in that battle were like, they're going to hold their line. They're just fast. They're not like young and angry and aggressive and a little bit crazy. You know what I mean?
It's like going from like the junior class to the intermediate class at the amateur rank. It's like juniors are just so sketchy, and the intermediate class is a little bit more hold your line, control.
Oh man, tell me about it. When I was going from my first year in 125 C class going to B class, I was so grateful.
Right.
So
it's just a relief, especially, I mean, like moving up to the 25 plus class was the biggest blessing, because it's like getting away from as much of the sketchiness as possible, riding with people that are at least aware that they have to go to work on Monday.
Stay away from the carnage, man,
as much as possible. But it looks like the sea of green out there right now.
Oh, that's all you're gonna see for this, man. But we got Steve Starling, we got John Short, Chisholm, and Carnow, Mr. OnlyFans himself, with the last transfer spot. This one should be a good one. These guys up front are all solid, man. I really can't can't say who's faster than the next guy, you know?
Yeah, and we got, like I said, Chase is in that fifth spot. He does not want to be there anymore. So we'll see what happens here.
See if he gets aggressive like Smith and Deegan, jostling for position.
I don't, it's so funny. Like, you talk to these guys, and I know you've talked to a lot of them. You like learn like how, normal they are and everything. And you see them out on the track, and you're like, take them out. And it's like, these guys, like, I wouldn't be that way if I was out on the track. And a lot of these guys are the same way. They're so chill, and they just love riding their dirt bike. They just so happen to be very fast at it.
Very, very fast. A lot faster than the rest of us. But yeah, no, you're 100% right, man. That's why I like the privateers so much. They're so down to earth, just great dudes, just living their passion, having a good time. And it's one of the fun parts about going to the races,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's watching the LCQs are, always so much fun because there's a lot of heart in it. Even somebody like Shiz that's, been here 100 times, it seems like, oh shit, they're red flagging.
Are they really? Still a little bit behind you. I see someone's holding the
That's
red cross.
good.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Red flag. Who's on the ground, man?
All right, who has best fitness now? That's the question. Who can let their heart rate settle back down and spike back up?
Oof, that's a tough one. Man, that's got to be so difficult when you're actually out front and LCQ leading, and like, you're feeling good, you're in a transfer spot, and boom. But hey, at least your boy Chase has one more shot to make something happen,
Maybe a little bit better track position out of the first corner.
Could be. Quick way to make a lot of passes.
Yeah, let's see what type of restart they do here if they're going to go.
I think they're going to have to do staggered, right?
Yeah, I don't know how far in they were.
Maybe they'll rack them back up.
Because that's when they do it.
Gates.
Yeah, when they do a staggered start, that gets hairy.
Yeah. Oh, that's a scary one.
They haven't said anything about where or who or anything still yet. Oh, it's a gate malfunction.
Was it really?
So something happened the gate must have malfunctioned. It took them a while to like figure out if it actually did. So once they figured out it did, they restarted it. At least no one's hurt. So that's good.
Yeah, that's actually good. I'm sure they're just as frustrated, but man, weird night of racing.
Oh.
Did they show a replay or something? Somebody hit the gate?
The whole gate bounces. And the fact that everyone got over it was like kind of a miracle.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Carnow actually hit it. Yeah, for logistical reasons, I totally understand why they restarted it. Hopefully it doesn't do it again.
Yeah, I know. Jeez. Yeah, Jawan did too.
Yeah, Chase bonked it pretty hard as well.
Oh man.
I was wondering, I was watching it, and a couple dudes got a little bit like just like off balance, and I was like, the ruts don't look that bad.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's a little crazy. Huh.
Interesting. It's been I don't know, it's been some time since there's been a gate malfunction like that. I remember I was at one of the Monster Energy Cups. This is probably like 2017. And they had the outdoor split gates.
Yeah.
one side fell and they came into the stadium and the other side was still staying back. And then they
Oh
went and
yeah.
fixed it, and then the other side fell and they came. And it was like, it was
Yeah, I
almost like
remember.
it was staged. It was almost like this like
Yeah.
Vegas bullshit.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. That one was very interesting. I questioned that malfunction, but that was pretty legit.
Yeah. No, I remember that one for sure. Yeah, that
All
was
right.
super weird. Now all the mechanics are checking the hinges and making sure is that going to bounce back.
I don't know how it bounced back. That was very interesting that it would do that. It was almost like, I don't know where the lever, the kick is on the inside of the box in the doghouse or whatever, but that was weird.
Mm.
I wonder, hopefully they fixed it. Hopefully it doesn't do it again. Now we have like problems with the gate the rest of the night.
Yeah, that could be dicey. Definitely be dicey. Oh, I feel bad for Starling, man. Get out there on a good start and just gets eaten away like that. But I
I don't
mean,
know.
things happen.
I think we'll see the cream rise to the top again.
Yeah.
I think the same dudes hopefully are probably going to be the same ones that we saw.
Yeah. That's usually the case. That's tough. I've only seen that happen once locally, but very rarely does it actually happen. I feel like it's happening more in the pros than I've seen locally even, man, on like any region.
We got chased with the whole shot.
Oh, I'm still behind you a bit.
Oh, I thought we were equal back up now.
Oh, hold on. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, yeah. Look at that. It's him and Carnell, looks like.
Yeah, so I think John Short was the only one. So John Short was like third, and he seems to be the only one that's not up in that top 5 that was in the original top 5.
Gotcha. Starling made a quick pass. So we got Marquier, Carnell, Chiz, and Starling. Looks like these guys are kind of selling back into place. Full duration of the race as well. But man, talk about just like getting pumped up and nervous, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's great execution on, those guys' end to be able to kind of take some deep breaths and get back to the gate and do it again, because that's not easy. And also, it's got to be a little bit nerve-wracking knowing that gate malfunctioned. Like, do I trust this thing? Like, just to
right?
like try and get over that and just go for it again.
Yeah, that's definitely sketchy.
But hey, they're pros for a reason.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to actually get that like level of confidence and your starting ability to where you can like, yeah, whatever, I got to restart. Let me just go ahead and do it again. Like, think about how confident you got to be in your setup.
So the only thing I can relate to is being a track and field sprinter in college. So like being in the blocks and we go off a gun, right? So, and there are false starts that happen sometimes. And so when somebody false starts or, somebody does something they're not supposed to, like we'll come out and we'll sprint and they'll double shoot and we'll have to come back and restart. And I think it's just being confident in, your ability, because like personally, that was my forte with starts. And so I was always really good. I could take a deep breath and reset and do it all over again. But some people would crumble. So I think it's just that like confidence in what you're doing.
Yeah. Really knowing your craft and what you get going on.
Right. And I mean, these guys have done so many starts and, at the amateur level all the way up to the professional level that I think they're probably able to erase that pretty quickly.
Oh, definitely. Speaking of a lot of starts, we got Josh Hill that's looking super, super racy, getting into that last transfer spot. It looks like he's giving Starling all he can handle, man. I don't know what happened, but he turned on the afterburners, and this guy is crushing the whoops, crushing these corners, and he's up to third.
Well, it's important to remember that Josh Hill once upon a time won a 450 main event.
Correct. Correct.
I know he's late in his career and he's having fun with his brother and everything being on that header team, but like
he used to be a force.
He knows how to ride. Like, and I grew up with the Hill brothers up here in the Northwest, and
Mhm.
they're amazing riders. Like
Oh yeah.
both of them so talented and stuff. So I don't think, I think for him, it just took a little while to get back in the groove of, racing. He's probably just as fast as he was back then. It's just that everyone else is so much faster now.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely tell you that. I mean, like even watching old tapes, you're like, holy crap, man, looks like they're going slow, but when we were watching it back then, they were flying, The sport's just
Right.
elevating at a rate right now that's just it's hard to even fathom, man.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to talk to Josh and be like, do you think you're as fast as you were back when you're on Yamaha teammates with Chad Reed? Like, do
Yeah.
you think you're as fast as you were back then when you won that? And it would be very interesting to hear him say, like, yeah, I'm just as fast. It's just these guys are that much faster.
Yeah. And it kind of shows you the what you talked about, like the elevation of the sport and how some people can be so far ahead of their competition. Like when Stewart started scrubbing, or like the Lawrence brothers with their competition now. It's going to be crazy in the next couple of years when we see how closed up that gets even further.
Right. Yeah. The sport's been evolving really. It's so great. And the new brands coming into the sport too is,
Mhm.
going to be huge. I mean, obviously Beta has been, making motorcycles for many of years now,
Yeah.
but, to come in and, put some focus into like more like motocross, supercross is cool. Then obviously Triumph coming in,
Triumph.
and
Yeah.
there's rumors of Ducati. So I don't
Yep.
know. Yeah.
Some
That one's not
electrical.
not out there big time, but yeah, Ducati's talk about making a dirt bike now. So
Yeah. They had a proto for a little while that was, but it looked like a supermoto, almost like a street fighter,
okay,
just with dirt tires. It looked pretty heavy, but I'm excited for the electric rides. So a lot of the like the Stark Farg and a few others out there. I mean, I'm looking forward to that. It's kind of it's my 9 to 5 right there. So
yep,
I'm really hoping that they let me do something cool with a electric dirt bike. That'd be super fun. But no, I think it's super unique. Just the again the different amounts of brands, like you said, the parity in the sport. We can have an opportunity to have 10 different brands out here if if we keep supporting it right. So
right.
it's
It's
all
gonna
it's
be
gonna be
so
it's only
good.
better. Only better for us. And we got some
All
dicing
right.
now, man. Hill is looking like a different rider, dude. This
So
is
the
probably the first time I've seen him like this the
yeah,
whole
he
season.
was spicy. Yeah, he was spicy
Yeah,
there.
I'm liking it though, and he's not backing down. He's not getting tired. I mean, okay,
All right.
I'm liking this, man. This is super cool. Yet another rider out there that's doing it. So shout out to Chiz, Marquier, your guy is in. Congrats, Evan, Josh Hill, and then Starling, Joan Cross, John Short, Carnell, just outside that transfer position. So best of luck to them on the next one. Uh, guys, that's pretty much the show. We got some main events to watch. That was super cool to see a lot of the drama unfold. I loved it. Evan, thank you again for being our guest. Really appreciate your insight. Every time we talk, I learn so much from you, and it's really cool to hear your background and your thoughts when applied to the pros of the sport. Guys, be sure to continue to follow Evan. We're going to link him below, and all the great things that he's got going on. Check out the Moto Academy and the masterclass that Evan has in there. If you want to peruse over and check out the one that I did too, I won't be mad at you. Evan's got a lot of cool things going on. Big aspirations, and I'm 100% sure that's going to unfold the way that he plans to. And if you guys want to get some in-depth personalized tips from Evan, hit him up and do his program, guys. Surprisingly, it's pretty affordable, and it's going to be really, really beneficial. So I highly recommend you guys check it out. And Evan, thank you again for taking the time to talk to us. Guys, don't forget, if you want to attend a race like the top level industry people in the sport, check out thecollectivexp.com, at the collective ex on Instagram, where we can bring you behind the scenes working with top teams and riders, taking your career to the next level and springboarding a sweet gig in the sport that is tailor-made for you. Thecollectivexp.com. Evan, we're going to talk again really soon. Thanks again. And yeah, go enjoy some racing, man. And hopefully you get a chance to ride this weekend.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's
No
fun.
worries. We'll talk again soon. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.